Hello and welcome. Today we're going to do a class where we will need some form of tie. I'm using a really long scarf here, and we'll emphasize the hamstrings as well as other aspects of the hips, both strengthening and releasing the hamstring muscles, which is important. So let's go ahead and begin laying down, taking some deep breath, having your strap nearby. Relaxing your arms and legs, letting your spine lengthen. And after 5 deep breaths or so, let's take the right knee to chest. And we're going to continue with deep breathing. That's the main thread of the practice that we want to have from beginning to end. Roll your ankle a couple times. And do about 3 in each direction. And bring both knees to chest. Roll around on your back. And then keep the left knee to chest. Extend the right leg. Deep breath. And roll the ankle a few times. Nice and smooth. Both directions. Come back to both knees to chest. And left leg extends. Now roll the hip while holding the knee with the right knee into chest. And do about 3 or 4 each way. Next, we're going to open the arms, open the knee out to side, make a big circle, bend the knee back in, big circle, and do the other direction. And when you've done 3 or 4 each direction, come back to one knee to chest. Tuck your chin into it. Give yourself a squeeze. Give yourself a little hug. Feel the core strengthen. Keep the knee into chest. Relax the spine down. Lengthen the back of the neck. Deep breath. And release. And take the other knee into chest. Make a little spin while holding the knee. Circling out the hip 3 or 4 times each direction. And then open the arms and do a big circle with the knee. Leg lengthens and then comes across and bends in. This is good to build both strength and mobility in and around the hips. Do both directions. One knee to chest. both knees to chest. Lower the feet to the ground. Lengthen through the legs. Point the right foot and lift. Flex the foot and lower. Do both sides, alternating with the breath. Very good. Next time you lift the right leg, you may want to bend the left leg. Place the strap over the foot. Draw the toes down. Lift up through the heel. And if you want, you can even have the top leg bent. This is if you have a lot of stiffness. Otherwise, lengthen through both legs eventually and enjoy the breath. Working the toes down evenly and lifting through the heel. Let's take a breath or two more. Hold to get a good firm stretch in the leg, but keep the shoulders and neck relaxed. The exhale you can release. And inhale, switching to the other side. Start with one knee or even both knees bent as needed. Eventually you can work towards lengthened legs. When I use the term eventually, it doesn't mean in this session. It means possibly in this session, possibly in a week or a month or a year, maybe the next lifetime if you believe in reincarnation. It's a general term of eventually. So don't feel rushed. Meet yourself where you're at. If you're modifying a lot, that's fine. If you're going really, really visually deep, that's good, so long as you're with the breath. Just meet yourself where you're at and breathe there. Working the toes down and lifting the heel helps to deepen both the stretch behind the thigh, but also in the back of the calf and the Achilles. That's nice. When you're ready, take a nice release. And bring the knees into chest. And then either hold the back of the legs, rock back, or you can roll to the side. Make your way upright. Either way, let's switch to the hands and knees. And roll the back a couple times. And then re-extend the spine. Extend the right leg, just lift hip level. Extend the left arm. And switch sides. Extend the left leg, just lift hip level. Extend the right arm. Coming back to that first side, but this time both arms down and flex the foot. Now bend the knee with the ankle right above the knees. This is a hamstring curl. And breathe. Very good, release. Other side, lift, flex the foot, ankle right above the knee, strengthening and breathing. And release. Let's go ahead and release to face down. Place the hands under the hips and lift the right leg. Keep the knee a little bit rolling in. The ankle and the heel is neutral. And switch sides. And the heel may tend to roll in, which is the knee rolling out. That's why I talk about rolling the knee in. That will keep the heel centered. When the glute flexes, it tends to rotate the femur like that. But you want to keep the femur and the knee centered and the heel centered to not squeeze the sacrum too much. Release from doing both sides, bring the arms out. Now let's lift the arms and the legs for a locust pose. Good, exhale, release. Place the hands back alongside the chest. Use the core to lift. Tuck under the toes and push into the legs for a nice downward dog. If your hamstrings are tight, bend the knees. You can have the heels up. And eventually you want to lengthen through the legs and press the heels down more. And knees down. Let's go ahead and turn to the side. Walk or hop the feet apart. Deep breath. I like to prop up on my fingers to get a little bit more of a flat back. If you're less flexible in this pose, you may slouch, and that's not as ideal. So using extra height like your fingertips or a block or so if you have one, that can be really nice. Deep breath. And we're going to bend the knees and come on up. Open the right foot and turn the back foot in. Take warrior two just briefly. And this is good for building strength in the front of the thigh. Build strength in the glute and the back of the thigh a little bit too. And our hips become flexible. And today we're doing it just briefly. Sometimes it's good to do it for a long hold. We'll switch sides. Really open that left foot, turn the back foot in. But the purpose today is just to do it briefly. It's just a brief addition to add into the pyramid straddle and to keep the body somewhat warm, which helps with flexibility. So we'll relax and come back to a second round of that pyramid straddle. Hands to ground. If your hamstrings are tight, you can have the knees bent. Eventually you could hold the ankles and tone the front of the legs. Keep tilting the pelvis to deepen the stretch and keep the back from slouching excessively. Breathe. Very good. Let's go ahead and walk the hands over and spin the feet. And now we're in the runner's position on the right leg. Lift the chest. And this is a bit of a hamstring stretch for the upper hamstring. And for some, you'll feel a big stretch in the hip flexor muscle group as we hold here, lifting the chest and breathing. Switch to a half split. Again, using the fingertips is helpful. The tendency might be to slouch a lot and have the body down, the chest collapsed, but if you can hinge at the hips and have a fairly flat back, then that's ideal. And come back to a runner's lunge, and then turn to the straddle position again. Switch to the left side, or whatever is the opposite side of a runner's lunge. Stretching into that hip flexor, lifting the chest, breathing. And half split. Nice long spine, deep breath. Very good. Come back to the runner stretch. And come back to the pyramid stretch again. And from the pyramid stretch, we're going to take a squat. Now, some people will want to move into this very carefully. You might be able to do just a little jump into a squat. You can walk into it. You can avoid the squat. Just carefully make your way to a sitting position. Do a butterfly instead, or a reclined squat, like what they call happy baby. Any alternative that works for you, doesn't hurt your knees and ankles. The squat is really wonderful. Some people, it's a bit much on their knees and ankles. Stack of blocks under the hips can help. And since I don't count on everyone having props, I recommend just being willing to take an alternate pose that does help with your hips. Take a few more deep breaths, enjoying a little more silence. Very good. And we'll slowly release. Gently sit down, legs out from underneath, hips back, lift the chest, lift the arms, sit up as tall as you can, activate the legs and the feet, really lift the chest, enjoy that strength in the back of the body, the toning in the legs and the core that it takes to have a very refined, strong posture, and then keep reaching forward through the chest and take a stretch. Don't worry if you're just holding the legs, eventually you can hold the feet. Stretch it out and relax. You could even weave the fingers between the toes. If you're newer to this, it's very awkward, and then eventually it feels really good. Having a nice stretch in the toes, creating that healthy space between your toes as you stretch your back and legs. Mainly, remember to breathe. Let everything else follow. Good. Release from the stretch. Open the legs a little bit. Massage the outer thigh and the inner thigh. Roll the femur. Sit tall. Other side. And now we're ready to sit in a nice cross-legged position. You may want to sit on some folded towels or blankets, sitting bones back. Sitting nice and tall, opening in the chest, relaxing the arms, long neutral neck. Let's just close the eyes and take about 5 breaths. Just enjoying a little bit of stillness and silence. And come on back to the body. And let's go ahead and conclude practice. If you want to do a longer Shavasana, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, we'll do a clearing breath and a round of Om to conclude. So breathe in, open mouth, exhale. And then inhale for Om. Namaste. Thank you for joining today. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you can, please make a donation to help support this content. Thank you so much.